Well, hello. Welcome to my channel. Christian Landaeta here, and I have an incredible guest today, somebody I've been waiting to interview for a long time. Uh, so welcome, Mr. Gerard Stokkink. How are
Thank
you?
you. Thank you. I'm fine. It's
Yeah,
evening here. So
yes.
we just had dinner
I
and
just
I'm
had, I
curious
tried
what
to,
it's about.
you had, okay. So what do you like for dinner usually? What do you usually like for dinner?
Oh, I eat a lot of stuff, everything eatable. I'm not a difficult guy, but I have a girlfriend who is cooking like first class.
Ah, look at that. Yeah, how lucky. Well, I must say to people watching this that I became familiar with your music, and some of the listeners of Futuro FM, the radio where I used to make a big difference in on FM here, was Oblique, and that's a project that I know no longer functions, I guess, but the music still goes on, and many people remember Oblique as an album and the tracks that I picked for Futuro FM. So if you don't mind my explaining this, Gerard, um, I understand that you are a university teacher, a founder of the Dutch Body Language Expertise Center that
Yes.
happened like 8 years ago or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you very much for your time to chat with this Chilean fan and radio producer since 1993. I became part of a radio team here, an important radio back in 93. And it was a miracle, almost a coincidence that I came across the album Oblique because a friend of mine found it on a record at a record store here. And incidentally, this album ended up being included on the playlist of the radio station Futuro FM, and it also became I used one of the tracks as the cue music for one of my radio shows. So maybe that's why people remember that too. I think I should also mention that you studied, I think, and graduated in nonverbal communication, which I think is called synergology. Is that correct?
Synthesist is a French study about nonverbal language.
Yeah.
The word itself is a method invented by a French Canadian researcher, and it's a trademark. So actually, it's a protected mark. And since 7 years already, I transformed it together with friends who also finished the study in synergology in France, and we have developed a new method which is similar but not exactly similar. It means body language on the terms of the speed of movement, the tension which the body can show, and contrary movements. Those are the most important differences with the synergology. And the synergology is a science based on neurobiologic, neuroscience, communication science, psychology, and movements. And in Holland, I transformed it into an open source study, and I teach it at university for students that will work in the future with clients, like in youth care and all those kind of psychology. And I started my studies beginning in 2000, and I finished my studies actually in 2016. So in that sense, I have a very large time of study. It was in France, it was in French, it's not my language. So it was quite intense. The first 5 years in Paris, every week I had to go to Paris. I got my diploma, and then I had to do my research. So I specialized in cultural differences of movements, because we all have different movements. In some countries, they say, "You mean me?" or "You mean me?"
Okay.
That's right. So that's cultural differences.
Yeah. Well, most interested because originally I studied teaching of English to become a teacher. Then I moved on to the area. I mean, I ended up becoming English linguistics. I got a degree in English linguistics. So language is also very
Yeah.
interesting to me all the time. And yeah, I didn't notice before. Now that you mention it, that people, use different parts of the body to signal what they are referring to. That's most interesting.
Exactly. That is so fascinating. We call it micro movements because when people talk, they cannot talk without movement. So many people do like this or this or this or this, or they touch the body or their face. And if you analyze it during the conversation, because only then it is interesting when somebody is sitting alone in the train and pulling his nose, who cares? But if he does the same movement in a conversation, then it starts to be interesting because his thoughts are transmitted by his body. You cannot foresee that. People do that. People touch themselves the whole day. So we call the hands tentacles of the brain, and they show what we are thinking, what we not talk about. So if we don't express exactly what we want to say, the body responds.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm sure that you must have there some TV shows. I think that we have them here still about people who come to the airports with some hiding something, and the first thing that they pay attention to is the body language, like they've stolen something or they are hiding drugs or stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And how can you account, Gerard? How can you explain for this? You don't learn this. You don't go to school. You learn the language, the words and the grammar, but you don't learn body language, do you? So is this inherited?
I think everybody has a DNA which is filled with body language because I don't know exactly how long ago we didn't talk. The human could not speak. We had no language, and we smashed each other head if we didn't like the other. So we learned as a human species to react on each other. And there is nobody that I know except for people that have some mental problems
Mhm.
uh, that they react without even noticing. When you walk on the street and you see something going on, you might pass on a little bit more distance from that person.
Yeah.
That means that you know you have seen something, but it passes unconscious.
Uh-huh.
And the only
Uh-huh.
thing I do, what I say is very comprehensive for many people because it's everybody knows what is body language and everybody feels that when I do like this, I mean me.
Hmm.
Everybody knows that. And there is so much in body language that we don't have to explain. But if you really want, with the interrogation, as you say, on the airport, for example, when you see somebody nervous, it can be very normal because any interview at the police can be,
Hmm.
yeah, can go with nerve. You're everybody is nervous,
Yeah.
but at the same time, if the movements go fast, if I show you you're welcome, and the movement is very slow, it's very clear. I invite you. But if the movement is like this, it is more aggressive. It is
Yeah.
so the
Uh-huh.
speed of body language is important. Not only the speed, but also the tension. If there's tension, if I'm relaxed, it's fine. But if I sit like this, you feel there's something wrong. And I say you feel because you don't mention it.
And yeah, the thing is that I've never thought, I don't know, things are different from where you are in Europe in general. There are so many things that I think are underdeveloped here, and we still have to go a long way. I read that you've been related to the judiciary area, like in courts and stuff like that. Uh,
We in Europe we have some courts, like in Spain, where specialists of body language are invited. For example, when a child is under custody with the wrong parent, I say the wrong parent, because the child is not allowed to see the other parent anymore because they went out with a fight, divorce, etc., etc. And the child is instructed by the parent to say whatever he wants or she wants. And then when you analyze a child like that, you can see whether the child is watching a lot to the parent, which is sitting next to her, and she's afraid to talk, or whatever tension you see. it is not to say somebody is lying or whatever, but you can say you must ask a different question here.
You can get to several minor issues that are not verbalized, so to speak.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Same in the
Interesting.
airport. If somebody is lying, there's always something that the body leaks. Always.
Yeah.
Even for politicians. If it's not nothing, it is that it's completely frozen. Also, that is a sign.
Yeah. Yeah. Paralyzed people mean something as well. Yeah. It could be
So
fear.
it can be fear, whatever. And fear you can recognize usually with the eye white under the iris.
Ah.
Yes, that's a tip. Huh? And fear, when I'm angry, you see my eyebrows going into a V.
Yeah.
Everybody has that. And well, if you have no Botox, huh? Because Botox is trying to voile these kind of emotions. The rimples, which are very natural in the face, let them be, because it is your personality.
It's the passing of time. Well, I was going to ask you, Gerard, are or were there any relatives working in the psychology or linguistics area that influenced your decision, your search and interest in outside music, I mean?
No, in the 80s and 90s, it was worthwhile to work in the music in Holland and especially in Europe. But the fact that let's say the influence and the power of how do you call this, publishers of music, they take a big part in the music rights and the income, etc. In 2008, we had a big crisis in the music. You know that probably, where in the we made music for movies, music for documentaries, for TV. People tended to take off the music and started to grab into stock music, existing music. And my job was always, I want to know what the guy wants, the director wants, and the atmosphere needs, etc., etc. And then we start to make the music on the image, like we did with the dancers on the dance, improvise with the dancers until we have a complete round performance together. So the music for film and for image is more or less the same. At a certain moment, you look at the persons in the movie and you have to decide this person's need this instrument, this person's need this instrument. And then you start to compose the themes and little things. You get a paying for this kind of character, etc., etc.
Did you abandon the music scene in a way, or just partially while you were studying this other body language? No.
No, we continued till 2008, where the crisis started. And in 2009, I noticed I got more and more arthros in my fingers. So I definitely had to find a different way to get around. And I studied in Paris and in Canada already for 7-8 years then. So I continued, and in 2011 I got a lectureship at the university here, and I started to teach non-verbal language on the university here in Amsterdam, the high school for students, SPH, MBD, as we call it here. And then in 2016 I started my institute, Expertisecentrum Lichaamstaal Nederland, because there is so much demand. I get also judges, for example, who are more interested in how do I look like on the scene, etc., etc. And I always say, listen, I have nothing to do with behavior, and I'm not interested into behavior. I do the things what I see. And what you see, what you can see in somebody's face, for example. We see each other's face and we notice my left eye is smaller than my right eye, for example. So these are the characteristics of somebody. I'm 75 now. It is logical. My left face means my personal emotion. My right face means my world outside. So what happens when you want to see me at a certain moment, I'm let's say emotionally, you see my left side of the face going smaller. When I get tired, it gets smaller. The left side of the face, not the right side, it's open.
Look at
Things
that.
like that. That is neuro.
Uh-huh. And so that then I'm going to reverse the question. Did you ever get interested in music because there was somebody in your family who was a musician, or listen to a
No,
lot of music? No.
I I come out of a musical family. I have a sister
Ah,
playing piano, concert piano, and my father played violin. But when I was at high school, I wanted to play in a band. And the band could not get from the ground because the others had no education at all. And I had my education at home only. But at my time, my piano teacher was very severe. And when I played wrong, I got with a stick on my fingers. So whenever I could, I would go in the street and play football. So I was not very serious student at that time. But at high school, I wanted to play music. And when I got off high school, I went to the theater. And one day in the theater in a theater in Amsterdam, I was sitting on the bar waiting for a performance going on. And there was a director sitting next to me complaining that he couldn't get along. I said, or is it? And I said, what's going on? He said, my technician is not there. He's not coming back anymore. I said, what is he doing? He's doing the light. I said, I can do the light. I've never done it. Huh? But he said, okay, I will make you designs of the scenes, and whenever the scene is changing, you have to change these lights. So that was my start in the theater. And after a couple of months, I got to know people that play music. But in the first place, you had in these areas these huge tapes, 28, whatever it was. And the music of the performance of this dancer was on these big tapes. And I said, this can be better. We can do that. And the mixing I did at a certain moment, and we started to invent with a mixer new elements into the existing music, which was Pink Floyd, Genesis, it was all these kind of in that period. And at a certain moment, we got jazz musicians going to the performance, and they started to jam along on the heating system or the tables on the floor on whatever. So we decided, let's try to make a performance with live musicians. And there I had my light table on the piano, and I couldn't place it that well, but I used the interior of the piano, which was giving a lot of atmosphere. So it started like that, a little by little. The first elementary synthesizers come up, like Yamaha CS7, etc., etc. Monophone, one. You could not touch two fingers; it didn't work, and with sequencers. So I started to play with sequencers, and we started to make our own music, and that happened in 2000. No, in 1982. Into a success in the Holland Festival. It's a big festival in Amsterdam, in Holland. And we played in the big theater in Amsterdam. From that moment, we were invited all over Europe. And then I had to buy more material because I had only one synthesizer. I needed one more for the strings. I needed another. For every sound, you needed another computer, another synthesizer at that time. And then in '84, I made an album because the people that went to the performances, they wanted an album, they wanted a souvenir. So I made an album, which is called Suzaku Dorme Grand Theater. That album, I saw it on this clock, is for sale for about $100. I made
wow.
only 300. It's a collector's item.
I think this is the one.
No, that's a poster.
Yeah, of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I have the album upstairs. You can find the. Oh, it's not even right. It's not the name is wrong.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's just
that
U at the end.
here?
SHUSAKU.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, but this was the show you would play music to, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
that's
at that
interesting.
time, I'm not aware, but at that time we started to make music.
Hmm.
Yeah. And the album, which I made only 3,000 copies, is now a collector's item. It is. You mentioned Yellow Turtles is a single.
Yes.
Somebody asked, can we edit that number and release it on Spotify? I said that's fine. I mean, it's 40 years ago. Who cares? But he has a success with it. It's nice.
Yeah, but I think that there is a different version of Yellow Turtles on this first album. Is the original one, I guess?
It was the first.
Yeah, like
The
a
first one.
draft. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It was a sound good studio in the north of Holland, and I had for 3,000 guilder at that time, which is like 1,000 euros. 3 days recording, 1 day for side A, 1 side for side B, and 1 day to mix the whole thing. And every day I drove 200 kilometers to go to the studio in the morning, go back in the night, listening to my work, and I was crying. It can be much better, can be much better. And then in '85, I know we met an A&R guy from CBS Sony, and he said, let's make a record. And he also put CBS managing to get us on festivals out of Europe and Roskilde Festival, no matter what, big festivals. That was a nice time. And 3 years later, we stopped because it was getting a big show, and people wanted to have more and more. But yeah, playing all the time. We had the performance with the dancers. We couldn't make new albums.
You didn't have time?
No, there was simply no time.
Yeah, and then so Oblique is a one of a kind project. It's one record. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any plan? Yeah.
Great musicians.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Do you have any plans for reissuing it? Because I know that somebody just remixed it and reissued the first album.
The first album was last year. A guy who is very well known for reproducing tape, big tape, which was the master. Even the Stones go to him because he's the only one who can digitalize the tapes of the studio tapes, and he decided to record to make a new this one.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, that's Shusaku and Dormu. Yeah.
Yeah, that nice. Is. He remastered it, and he is very proud with it. It's very nice, also. Anyway, it's also what is it? 40 years ago. Yes. To me, it's like wow. How come people like my music 40 years later? For me, it's quite something. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think my feeling is that most people music that was made way more than 40 years ago, Tangerine Dream and all that, late 60s, early 70s. And yes. It's still, I think time has not touched that music. It remains intact. Unlike pop, that you have different pop patterns, and sooner or later, pop bands tend to fade out, but not electronic music, for example. That's what I feel. Now, there's something I might have asked you at the beginning, but I'm going to take it back now. It's the word Boditorium. How are you related to that?
I'm not. No, that is a name Shusaku uses for himself, for his let's say his group of dancers, which is all ad hoc. People get hardly paid, but they have to like his work, and they go with a project. So we did like us. We also did projects in '82, I think, on the Pont Neuf in Paris. A guy, what was his name, who enveloped the whole bridge in Paris, Crystal.
Okay.
And we did project with Urban Sax. 120 saxophone players. Yeah. Maybe you've heard of them, yeah?
Yeah, with the white.
So yes. I'm only stuck with my equipment, but they walk around the city, and everywhere you hear, and where is it coming from?
Yeah. Yeah,
Even
interesting.
the fire and the ambulances work along. They tune off with the music. It's minimal music. It's the only way how it works.
Uh-huh. Now
Great time.
yeah, I imagine. For Oblique, you work with drummer and percussionist Tom Bachman. I think he was in a band called Time Bandits.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how did it happen? How did you meet?
That was in the Holland Festival. I was playing with a drummer who was very straight and I cannot say a very straight drummer, but I can say somebody who was not very playful in his play. And I wanted somebody who was creative. And I was asking around me on the Holland Festival, do we know a drummer that we can work with? And then Tommy came, who was very successful with a number of, I think he had a top 5 in the US, a very big, at that time, the time that it was very great, very big. And he said, I am fed up being how do you say that? Tuck, 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 tuck,
Yeah,
tuck,
like
tuck.
a metronome.
A
Yeah,
metronome.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he was fed up with that. And he wanted more creativity. And since then, we worked together, and we're still the great friends.
Yeah, I was going to ask that if you still have contact and what is he after? Because I tried to I would like to contact him sometime, maybe for an interview.
Yeah, try Homeland Studios in Amsterdam. Even quite famous people go there because he has developed a new studio. Our own studio has gone since 2010 because we had to move out of that building. But he built a new one on next to the central station in it's a military area which was given to the city. It was given back, and it's transformed into a hotel and he has his studio under that with a high equipment, very high. So everybody knows to find him when they have special job to do.
And when you say mention famous people, who do you mean? Like,
I'm not supposed to say.
okay, don't.
But I know some quite well-known people go there.
Do you? Are you? I suppose you are familiar with the Knits. The Knits.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the bands from Holland that comes to mind, and I like them a lot. Yeah.
Same period.
Yes,
Also,
exactly. Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So Tom is not making any more new music. He's just
he's producing.
Producer. Okay.
He's really when we worked together, it was always I was the creative and he was
the support.
Putting everything together.
Yeah.
Recording it and rearranging it and finding new sounds to it, etc., etc. Yeah. A very good collaboration.
Okay. Now, how would you say, maybe you're not so much into it now, but how's the health of electronic instrumental music in the Netherlands and in Europe in general? Because I know some people like Gerard Emmons, for example, who's been doing very well. He's a great musician too. And there are several, as you say, there are so many. Yeah. So how does the industry move these days?
It's very alive. Now we have the Amsterdam Dance Festival, which is all electronic. Yeah. And for myself, I must say, I am very, very much into listening to music, especially on channels like Chill Tracks. Do you know that?
No, we don't have it here.
I'm sure you have. It's on the internet. The internet.
Okay. Chilling. Chill Tracks.
Chill Tracks.
Okay.
It's in US from New York, I think. But they have music that inspires me. I can listen to it all day by me.
So what type of music is that?
They call it chill or lounge or whatever.
Yeah.
It's also dance. It's everything a little.
Yeah.
It's very nice. And it's all electronic.
And have you ever been into classical music or jazz? What other things you listen to usually?
A lot, yeah. Most is modern, but also, of course, classical music. I've tons of music like that.
You have some favorites?
Um, yeah, the modern, I like. I have to pick it up.
Ligeti, Penderecki, stuff like that? No?
No, 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 no.
No, okay.
Oh, so much. New world. No, 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 no. Artful part.
Of course, yeah. Arvo part, yeah.
More that direction. Let's say.
I understand. Okay.
So many.
More ECM, perhaps, oriented.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking for one special, but I cannot find it here. But I also very much is Elena Alejandro.
Okay, yeah. Yes.
Heard of her?
Yes, I have, yeah.
And, yeah, classical music, yeah. Mozart, of course.
Yeah.
Vivaldi, whatever.
Yeah. Well, she's also part of the ECM catalog, as far as I remember. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Now, incidentally, I was going to mention this, that, of course, Focus, the most popular Dutch band in Chile, Thijs van Leer is the founder, the organ and player and singer with John Ackerman. They also put out a record on CBS back in the 81, I guess it is, with two Chilean guys, Mario Argandoña, who's a session musician, and Tato Gomez. And it's a very nice, beautiful rock mass called Dona Nobis Pacem. Maybe you've heard. Yeah. And they had a single out of that album. Yeah. And I think it's a coincidence. I think CBS has been a good record company in the sense of showing people interesting stuff. Like they suggested you would make an album. And they rescued some very nice stuff that people still remember, as you know, 40 years after that. Yeah. Now, we were talking about Yellow Turtles, which is one of my favorite tracks and one of the two tracks I chose for Futuro FM for airplay from Oblique. And we were saying, or you were saying, that it was originally from Shusaku Dormu Dance on a different version, right? It's like sounds like a draft or the original version, yes?
No, it was a fight between two sequences.
Okay.
I used to use a syntax, a synthesizer.
Okay.
And that had it was analog. It was I could use 4 sequences, but a limited amount of notes at that time. And the syntax at that time was quite complicated to use because you had no memory or whatever. But Yellow Turtles,
exactly, yeah.
Accents on 5/8, which is quite unusual. The dancers wanted something complicated, but that had a rhythm and that they could follow. So that was the beginning of Yellow Turtles, and then the rest came along with it. The harmonies and the drums, etc., etc.
Okay. Now,
on the Oblique album, we tried to perfectionate it. That's all.
Yeah. Now, I think that, well, Oblique is a very cinematic type of kind of film music type of music, like almost like a film score. And I think they have tagged Oblique as art rock, experimental, ambient. So you were saying that you have been involved in music for film or TV, apart from this movie by Guido Peters, like The Black Meteor.
Yeah, that was 2001.
Yeah. It never became available on record, the soundtrack?
No, but there is a CD, one number.
Okay.
One B side, and the B side is from a famous band singer of Dumar, made the B side.
Okay.
But I've never worked in that sense as commercial as some other do.
And
I work a lot on TV, a lot for leaders, a lot of for documentaries. At the time Ceausescu was murdered, the BBC came to us and said, we want to make a documentary about his life and about his paranoia. So we made a movie, we made the music for the movie. And that video, I remember it was very well paid by the publishers.
And
Famous Montignac, a guy that had something about menus, or how you call it?
Diet.
A diet.
Hey, say hello to
Yes, I
her.
will.
Okay.
And that video also, the mechanic rights were very large at that time.
Okay.
You could live off music in that period. Nowadays, it's hard for the newcomers. They have a hard time.
Yeah.
So
Now,
making music also.
and is there another project do you think it's important or relevant you would like to mention that you made music for, like a documentary about some other famous character? Or
we did a lot of stuff together with Suzaku, together with Dinges. But one thing which was very nice was in the Ajax stadium, the football stadium. They at the beginning of 2000, they had a movie theater with all the successes and etc. And they wanted the music, but the film itself was projected on 3 screens, all in together. Huh? But we had to make music which fit with all the 3 screens. A young Cruyff, an older Cruyff, and a Cruyff in action. And then you got a new image there of the same guy, and they say, etc., etc. So it had to fit that the ball kicked from that side was kicked back from that side. That had all to be in the music. That was an interesting job because the Ajax didn't want us to declare it to the, how do you say that? The Buma Stemra is an organization for musical rights, because then they have to pay at the entrance price how many people they have to give the money to the organization for the musical rights. So we said, if you pay us this amount of money, we don't talk about anything. So don't put this on TV or whatever. But it was a very interesting job. We did also an interesting job in a cinema, which was the first Dutch cinema on surround sound. Philips had in the Scheepvaartmuseum in Amsterdam made a cinema room with speakers on the ceiling and the sides, on the floor. All the chairs could move. And it was a movie about the VOC ships going to Indonesia at the time, in 1600, 1700, to get slaves back and pepper back and whatever at that time. So the people were smelling, they were taken into the ship, and the ship was wrecked and people were getting sick, and all these atmospheres, all these smells and all these sounds were experienced in life when you sit there, and even your chair moved. It was experimental, but those kind of things I like.
So it was like an advance of what goes on today. You have these 3D cinemas where seats move and all that, but it happened. When did it happen? 80 something?
In which one?
The thing they were describing, the seats moving and all that?
That was, I think, second half of the 90s.
Okay.
Or half of the 90s. I still have art forever welcome in the museum. I never have to go.
Now, if we move on to the other area, what's your view, Gerard, of technology today influencing or affecting verbal and non-verbal communication? What do you think about cell phones? Do you think cell phones are a step forward, natural evolution, like a man's great friend, or could they rather be unpredictable, unknown acquaintances? You know, I think there is some negative behavioral output these days. I am a teacher, so I think it's very inevitable and difficult to reach the students, because it's very difficult, if not impossible, to make them understand that they should leave the cell phone aside. And I know that many schools, many countries are forbidding cell phones in schools. Yeah. I think that would be impossible here. So what's your view about that? How?
The problem is that I notice it here also when I give a guest college in a university, wherever, for psychology students or social students, whatever. When they have their phone in their hand, they're on social media checking their messages and typing, etc. You have the impression they're not with you.
No.
So what I ask is put them out. And if possible, put them in your pocket and don't touch them for 1 hour. Because it takes a lot of attention.
Yeah, but they follow your instruction, do they? Because to be honest,
No,
no.
no,
Yeah,
1/4, not at all.
yeah. It happens to me that I avoid friction. I avoid, and here, at least here, people are very likely to evaluate you negatively if you are telling them to put the cell away. It's really like a double-bladed element.
Same here. Same
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Why is it happening? Why people? I mean, your generation, my generation, we used to be obedient in front of teachers. I can imagine coming late to a class or using cell phones and not paying attention or not participating. There's something going on in people's minds for the last, 20 years, and I think that we are not evolving, but going backwards, in many ways regarding
Yeah,
communication and social interaction.
it's the anarchy in the, how do you say that? There's a lot of tension between people and authority.
Yes, yes.
So authority is not accepted as it is. In Holland, people hit people that check your tickets in the train, for example.
Okay.
They attack. Or at the street, even lately, ambulance people that are helping people in the street are attacked by people that don't like them to be there, or for some reason.
Yeah, same happens. Yeah.
I cannot even imagine we did that.
Yeah, the same happens here with firefighters. When firefighters approach a zone where we've been having terrible fires in the summer here near the city of Santiago, and so many times it happens that people attack the trucks, the fire trucks, and that's so I don't understand that really. Yeah, it has to do with rebelling against the authority, but it's like a worldwide thing these days. Yes.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
It's getting more rough and without any norms or values. People evolve into disputes without any reason. There's many people in the street that look quite mentally ill.
But you think that comes from a long era where we were under much pressure, like to authoritative, you say, authoritative families?
When I was teaching at university, I noticed in the beginning of 2011, 12, 13, a new era of people that were 20, and they had nothing to do with authority. I mean, I had to evaluate them, their work. I said, it's not good enough. I said, what's not good enough? He is good enough, and he has also the same answer. I said, no.
Yeah.
The context, what he describes, is different than yours. The context in body language is very important.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. They
don't accept, so you get a negative information to the staff.
Yeah. Yes. It's incredibly difficult. I think that people these days are not able to understand the need of learning really, and not only concentrate on the things that they care about. Yeah. Well, one strange question, Gerard. Recently I got a hold of a very nice funk track by an artist called Sammy. And I think there was a DJ in the Netherlands back in '82, I guess it was, that picked up the record, which is called Funk in Your Mind or something like that. And the name of this DJ is Gerard Stokkink. Do you have any DJ?
Theo is my brother.
Wow. Look at that. Yeah,
He
I
was
knew.
a DJ on the radio until I think the 90s or so.
Uh-huh. Look at
Yeah.
that. The world is very small after all, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, well, then he's mentioned on the web that he picked up this record and he made it famous. Yeah, funny thing. Yeah.
He was more into cabaret and
Uh-huh.
of small things and yeah,
Uh,
silly songs.
yeah,
But
interesting.
he was very, very well known for his programs on the radio on the story of Genesis or the story of the
Ah,
symphonic rock.
look
It
at
was
that.
very, it was very good.
Yeah. So did you?
Very
Uh-huh.
on a Wednesday afternoon for 3 hours between 2 and 5, everybody listened. Even on the market, people had the radio on because he made a story. He made a
Okay.
story with songs of, let's say, Genesis in between. How did it evolve? How did
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
transpose one song to
Yeah.
the other?
Uh-huh.
Interesting, very interesting.
He's no longer with us.
He's still alive, but he's old. He has the
Okay.
same disease as I have, arthrosis.
Okay.
He's 11 years older than me.
Yeah. And did you ever, did he or you ever get the chance to see Genesis live?
Yes, we were both. He was presenting them in The Hague,
Oh,
and I went to see them
oh, look at that. When was that?
in The Hague in the 80s.
Okay. Remember the album that they were touring?
Um,
Abacab.
dun, 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 da-da-da-dum.
Ah,
So,
yeah. Trick of a Tale. Trick of a Tale.
yes.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. The first one with Phil Collins. The first one without Gabriel. Yeah. Yeah. I'm a big fan of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I cannot ask you, coming to close this conversation, Gerard, that I'm very happy about. Oblique, the album, does sound, I mentioned it before, like a film score. And there are some passages that seem to be a link between two different tracks. Um, is there a story behind the?
The whole idea is
Yeah.
coming from performances we made with Shizaku.
Okay.
Transforming one scene into another. There was never a dull moment. The train passing by, the waving
Exactly.
of the people. Everything had a reason. Everything had a, yeah, like the drops of water. We had a big stage with running water, and the dancers would go walk over it with a swan in their hands or whatever. And that was the beginning of Endless Cruise. That's my favorite song. A song, it's not a song, but it is an image. And the image I caught into this music.
And
Travelers working.
how many copies were usually pressed of these type of albums there?
I have no,
1,000, 2,000? You don't know?
no, no.
Yeah.
I've never had the opportunity to really release it. I think I'm capable because the rights are, I think, passed for CBS, so we can reissue it if we want.
But do you have any sorry, do you have any notions if it became popular? Because if you reissued this today, I mean, there would be some people in Chile that would like to get a copy, myself included, because I only have the vinyl record, yeah, behind me. Yeah,
You have the record, not the CD.
yeah, no, not the CD. No,
The CD is a high class stereo. Really,
yeah,
really good.
it sounds great. Yeah, it does sounds great. Yeah, that's one of the aspects that I like Oblique about the sound, the quality of the recording.
Also, who did that? He is a
Yeah,
great engineer.
yeah, and what are your professional? I mean, the professional achievements you can think of in terms of, well, this is on top of my list, and you probably have some pending goals or dreams that you would like to achieve.
Oh, you don't want to know.
I don't want to know.
No, my biggest dream is that we get in Holland a study, because body language for me, not in music, but in body language, that body language will be part of communication science. because it is part of communication. Nobody can talk without movement. So
Okay.
translating the movement, explaining what they mean is fascinating to see, and it works. It is really true. I mean, if you like some CD and the CD that you don't like, you put you put it on the right, but the ones that you like, you keep it to the left.
Okay.
Everybody has this kind of warm thing. Mothers keep their baby on the left because it's next to the heart, they say, but the heart is in the middle. It is,
Yeah.
this is your affection side. This is the side that you give a hand for the other, outside. This is me. This is the world outside.
Okay. So you think like handshakes are like a formality, not more than that.
Formality, a handshake is you do it with the right hand, not the left hand.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now, and would you like to, I don't know, to make any kind of special music, like not an opera, but I don't know. I don't know. What are your music?
When I play music,
The scope.
it's in the fantasy. It is on the piano, and I play. Yeah, I don't even play. I know what I played afterwards, but it's on the moment, and that is what I like because I never recorded a lot.
Okay.
But I'm one of these guys that like to play for one person or 100. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Good. Well, it's been really informative, interesting, and a pending activity for me since like the mid-90s. We exchanged some faxes that doesn't exist anymore. I didn't have the time to, I don't know what happened. I couldn't make contact to make the interview real, but it's nice that it's happening in the year 2024. There's always good time to talk about good music and for me to contact and speak to and meet interesting people. So thanks a lot for the interest, the time, and I hope to be able to listen to this reissue of the first album. And I only can cross my fingers to find a copy of Oblique. Oblique is difficult to find. There are very few copies and it's not cheap. It's complicated. Yeah.
I will find. I will try to find one and send you. And I will send you this one also.
Oh, excellent.
Send me your address where it can go to.
Sure, I will. Now,
I will do my best to find a copy.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I hope that whatever your pending dreams are, you reach most of them. Say hello to who's with you there. I'm glad you are happy these days. You seem to be happy and quiet. You know why I say that? Because some people, like some musicians, I don't know how they do things, but sometimes they are forgotten by the record companies, maybe not by the fans, but I know the music is a difficult area, even much more so here in Chile. It's not easy to be a musician all the time. So I'm glad that you seem to be very happy and that you found a new way to, professional way to do some such interesting stuff. I would really like to learn more about this body language science. It really sounds fascinating to me.
It is fascinating. But one thing I say, if you do what you like, you never have the feeling that you have to work. This is my motto in life. If you do what you like, and whatever is a hobby or whatever, like you like to do this, what you do.
Okay. Yeah. It's true.
It is
true.
on itself. And if you can be paid for that, that is even more great.
Yeah. Well,
and I think that counts for everybody, whatever you do.
It's true. Well, good luck, sir. Thanks again for the interest, and I'm going to send you my address. Absolutely, with no delay. So thanks for the music.
Give me some time, man, because finding an Oblique, I don't even have one copy myself. I have the album. But I will try to find.
Yeah, it happens with every musician. They don't seem to be very good at keeping things for themselves. So sorry. Okay, that was my cell phone ringing. You see, cell phones have as slaves.
Influence.
Yeah. Well, take good care. Thanks for the time.
Thank
I will
you.
send you this, and let's keep in touch. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
thank you
By,
too.
by the way,
Bye.
Gerard, I might want to try. I mean, I might try to contact Tommy Bachman. Do you
Yeah,
think this? Yeah. So I'm going to send you that message later.
I will give him your email address.
Okay. Thanks a
I
lot.
will.
Take good care. Have a happy
You too.
life. Yeah. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.